Welcome to Ouch. Was that a ghost? This podcast may contain graphic material, which some listeners may find disturbing. Listener discretion is advised.
Help me.
Now that we covered that, here's your host, Liz.
Welcome back to Ouch Was That a Ghost? Today I have with me the amazing Joe from the Film Joe podcast. Welcome.
Hello, and thank you for having me on again. This is fun.
It's aliens, so you have to come on.
Oh, I love me some alien stuff. Love ufology, all that weird shit. I mean, the weirder the better. I dig it. So, yeah, and I got a good one for you here today, so this is going to be interesting.
Oh, I'm so excited. Today we're covering the Rendlesham Forest Incident, known as Britain's Roswell. It was a series of unexplained occurrences near Rendlesham Forest in England, a possible alien encounter with multiple eyewitness accounts that actually has audio recordings, photo evidence, and some very compelling notes, with, of course, the whispers of a government cover-up. Some say aliens, some say time travelers, some say military experiments, or some say it was just a lighthouse.
Yeah, they really, the MOD, which is the Ministry of Defense, they're the equivalent of the DOD here in the States, the Department of Defense. They totally brushed this one under the rug, and they pretty much said, oh, it was some car driving down the street. It was a hoax by another military personnel, that it was a lighthouse that was further down. But there's a lot of compelling evidence. I mean, the witness accounts, this comes from not your average yokel. These are military personnel who are trained to observe and report. And what they experienced was pretty uncanny. It was pretty strange.
Yeah, and I'm sure they got a lot of flack for coming back to the base saying, hey, guess what I saw?
Right, exactly. I mean, we're not living in the current military culture that we do today, with open UAP and UFO reporting, per Congress, that, military personnel can come out and say, hey, listen, I saw this, I saw that, and they can officially report it without any sort of stigma attached to it or repercussion. Again, back in the day, it was, servicemen would come up and go up to his commanding officers and say, hey, man, I saw this and this. You did? You did not. You do not speak another word of this unless, you want to end your career. But now, I mean, it's a lot more open and so forth. But back then, I mean, these guys were just pushed to the side and like, yeah, this is bullshit. So
Rendlesham Forest was an area in between two Air Force bases, or two Royal Air Force bases, Bentwaters and Woodbridge. They were being used at the time by the U.S. Air Force. This was around like the Cold War time, so the coastal location was like ideal for them.
right, and so that's where because it was so close to the ocean and so forth, and you got the forest in between that could obscure light from a distance. That's where the whole lighthouse theory came about. But let me take you from the beginning of this whole event. So the events occurred on December 26, 1980, and they started around 3:00 in the morning when near one of the east gates, a security patrol, they saw lights apparently descending in the nearby Rendlesham Forest. And these lights, at first they were just attributed to, I don't know, natural debris or fireball, quote unquote, meteor, or something along that line. So the servicemen, they went on ahead and they thought it was a downed aircraft. So, I mean, they're not thinking UFO. So thinking it's a downed aircraft, they go ahead into the forest to investigate. And what they witnessed was a glowing object that was metallic in appearance with colored lights around it. And when they approached the object or attempted to do so, the thing just started moving away from them and just whisked through the trees. And they said that when this was going on, this thing was silent. There was no visible form of propulsion or propulsion sound or any mechanical sound to it. It was silent. But the animals in the area, they lost their shit. They were going crazy and making noise, and they were freaking out. So one of the servicemen, Sergeant Jim Peniston, he later claimed, because he kind of veered off on his own along with another patrolman, And he later claimed that he encountered a craft of unknown origin in the forest. It was on the ground. And he described the surface of this island. It wasn't too big. It was maybe 20 by 20 feet. So one could say it was sort of observation craft or something to do recon. It was that small. And so when he went up to the object, it was a dull black kind of surface with strange raised impressions, embossed almost, and they resembled hieroglyphics, but they weren't. So he thought it was pretty strange. It was at this point he felt drawn and compelled to this object and came closer to it, and he eventually put his hands on the etched symbols. He said that pretty much as soon as he touched this thing, it was like sandpaper. It was nothing like the smooth surface that you could see that was rough. And immediately he stated in his report that when he touched the surface, everything became brilliantly white, and he couldn't see or he couldn't hear a thing. It was just alone in this bright white light.
Gosh.
So and this event when he's touched, he has obviously a loss of time because he couldn't determine how much time had passed. So standing next to the craft, facing the glyphs, he continued to see the bright colors and so forth, and he thought the thing was going to explode. It was so bright, and he immediately took a defensive stance against the craft to try to get away from it. And then suddenly it lifted off the ground about 4 feet, maneuvered between the trees, and took off in the blink of an eye.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing, and he didn't know what to make of it. He had lost time. He reported it. They said, well, let's see what it is. It could have been a down satellite or something. So in the ensuing nights, he would have vivid dreams. Not even dreams. These were waking images that he could see in his mind's eye that was just so vivid. I mean, that he could literally decipher what these images were so clearly, even from a dream. And what they were a series of ones and zeros. So he went on ahead and eventually, like, fuck it, I got to do something with this information. Not knowing what it was, he wrote down the exact sequence of these ones and zeros, which I believe in his notebook were like 6 pages long.
That's impressive. When I wake up, I don't even remember like 2 minutes before my dream.
Yeah, tell me about it. But he had the super alien UFO power with him, I guess.
Okay.
And so he was able to write all of this down, and he kept it with him for years and years. So after daybreak on the 26th, servicemen, they returned. They went back to the clearing to see, to further investigate because it's daylight. And they found small impressions on the ground in the location that was reported in a triangular pattern. So something was there. And some, again, you got these logic skeptics. They're like, oh, it may have been a squirrel or a chipmunk or something. And they're trying to give some sort of natural explanation. But this was obviously a triangular impression.
Yeah, I think they said the police went out and said that too, that it might be animals that made them. But what animals would go in a complete triangular, you know what I mean? Like one at the top, one over here, one over here. That's very strange to me.
Yeah, they're either aliens or very OCD squirrels.
Yes.
This has to be 4 feet from here. Get it right, guys.
Yep.
And so Lieutenant Colonel Halt from the base, he returned with several servicemen, and they took radiation readings within the triangle, of the depression. They were using a standard U.S. military radiation survey meter, and they were recording like 0.07 to 0.03 to 0.04 per hour, even background level. I mean, so they was detecting something, and there was like every now and then a burst that they would find of readings that were over a half a mile away from the landing site. So it's what I don't know. We're talking radioactive squirrels again. I don't know, with OCD.
I don't think there's an explanation for radioactive bursts.
Right, exactly, and in such a controlled pattern. I mean, that's what's more, most mind-boggling. And later, Halt in in his memo, he stated that second night he saw 3 star-like lights in the sky to the north and one to the south at about 10 degrees above the horizon. And he said that the brightest of these hovered for 2 to 3 hours and seemed to beam down a stream of light from time to time. Now, astronomers, again, just explaining away, they explain this as, well, just lights, like just bright stars is what they were, and trick of light, or, of light.
Hmm.
So yeah, so basically that was the overall event, and it was reported, the MOD, the DOD, and they just kind of brushed this off, and they said, well, it was this, it was that, but there was never a confirmed explanation or an official explanation to say this is what it was exactly. Like Roswell, their official quote unquote air quotes was that it was an air balloon. Okay, they came to a firm conclusion as to what it was. This never got one, which makes it even more fascinating than the Roswell event. So what happened?
Does this have more evidence than the Roswell?
I wouldn't say it has enough evidence. Now, keep in mind the Roswell event took place in one night, in kind of like maybe a week span, but and had tons and tons, and maybe even hundreds and hundreds of witnesses that have come forward. This isn't as big, but I think the evidence and the credibility of the witnesses puts it on the same level, I think. And
Yes.
so it's just as fascinating. So now we're going to jump ahead in time to the year 2010. So this is way, way past its ancient history at this point. And a lot of people have forgotten about it. I mean, of course, ufologists always followed it, and were very fascinated by the case. So in 2010, Peniston, now, he's already retired, he was having a casual conversation with a researcher. And he meant, discussing the case and what he saw. It's a, non-official kind of, just hanging out and talking. So when he gets to the part when he touches the craft and he sees his images, he mentions the codes that he has in his notebook that he wrote. And immediately the researcher, his ears perked up and his eyes bugged out like Bugs Bunny when he realizes, whoa, ones and zeros? That's binary code, man. I can decipher that. So Peniston is like, he had no idea it was binary code. And he's not a computer person or whatever to have tried to hoax this thing. So Peniston agrees. I'll get you the notebook, see what you come up with. And guess what?
What?
They did. They deciphered something really, really interesting. And now this parts of the deciphered code that was you couldn't read, or it was just didn't make sense. But let's just say about 80 to 95%, 80 to 90% of it was deciphered, and it makes some kind of sense, but just opens a whole can of worms of questions and mystery. So you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay. So it has the message, or the binary code message. It has kind of like cryptic, kind of like phrases. And then there's several map coordinates, like 7 in total. So as I decipher, I'll give you the decipher. I'm just going to refer to the coordinates as coordinates 1, 2, and so forth.
Okay.
At the end, I'll let you know what location these coordinates were. So it begins like this. Exploration of humanity 6668100. Then it's followed by coordinate 1. Continuous for planetary advancement. Now, advancement is just ADV, so they assume it would be advancement. Then that's followed by 4th coordinate, continuous, undecipherable, and then the word before. After this, you have a 2nd coordinate, 3rd coordinate, 4th, 5th, 6th, and a 7th, which is followed by the phrase, eyes of your eyes. Then it has the phrase origin, followed by coordinates, and then that's followed by origin year 8100. And that was the end of the coded message. So now, here we get to the good stuff. What were these coordinates? So we're going to go with coordinate number 1. And this is one thing I had you kind of like on the side look into.
Yep.
Coordinate number 1, High Brazil. And this is a phantom island said to lie in the Atlantic Ocean off of the coast of Ireland. Now, you did a little research on this, right?
I did.
And it was mind-blowing.
It really was. I was like, how have I never heard of this? Because when
Yeah,
you said Brazil, I was thinking like not the Brazil.
right. And so historically, I mean, this was in actual maps from 1500, from the 1500s to the 1800s. This island appeared on various source maps, but it doesn't exist. But it does, but it doesn't. And to this day, it's not there. There's no island there, but you have accounts and you have map, on maps, it popping up. So, and lore had it. I mean, there's some wild stories behind this. You looked it up. Giant black rabbits.
Yeah, just like an old man chilling there with a bunch of giant black rabbits giving out silver and gold. Like,
Right.
what?
And also it was considered, by many, a place of, it was paradise of peace and eternal life. So what is that? Is that indicating that there was some sort of civilization there? And who was there? So that's the first coordinate, okay? The second coordinate, Sedona, Arizona. Now, what's the big deal about Sedona, Arizona? Bunch of dirt, bunch of sand, mountains, rocks, right? Well, Sedona, Arizona is a hotspot for UFO sightings. In fact, they even have UFO sighting tours that you can take in Sedona. And it's also known to have, allegedly, vortexes that are very powerful and that can help you with, say, meditation, self-discovery, spiritual growth, all that kind of hippie stuff. And they do say that each vortex radiates its own unique energy. So recharge your battery, check out some UFOs, go to Sedona. So the third coordinate is obvious in the sense of mystique, mystery, conspiracy, and so forth. The Great Pyramids of Giza. That's the third coordinate. Do with that what you will. You know what I mean? There's so much there as it is.
Yeah.
The fourth coordinate is the Nazca lines in Peru. And these are the lines that form like you're like 1,000 feet in the air and you can, these huge glyphs etched into the ground like a hummingbird and so forth, and animals, a monkey. And it's a mystery because they're thousands and thousands of years old. And the whole gist was, well, why did the indigenous of that area, why did they etch these things so huge and only to be seen from so high? And of course, the UFO ancient alien theory comes into play. So now we go to the fifth coordinate. This is Mount Taishan, which is one of the most famous and sacred mystical mountains in China. And it's prohibited to climb and so forth. So that has this form of mysticism as well. The sixth coordinate is the Potara of Naxos, or the Great Door, which is a massive marble doorway that stands probably like on a small island on the inlet to Palacia. And it's just a giant doorway that's like, I don't know, 50, 60, 100 feet high. I don't know the exact dimensions, but it's a doorway. But a doorway to what? And hence, there's always been a mystery or mythology attached to that ruin. Coordinate number 7, Caracol, Mayan ruins in Belize. Again, just like the Egyptian pyramids, there's a lot of mysticism and ufology attached to the mystery of these ruins within the Mayan history. So that was the 7th coordinate. And then, of course, that's the last one, and it says the message. It says "eyes of your eyes." And it says origin with the new coordinates, right?
Yep.
Coordinate number 1, High Brazil.
Huh.
Yeah.
So they started it and ended it with the same coordinate?
Yep. I mean, so it's like it gives you this coordinate and it gives you this coordinate, exploration of humanity, so forth and so forth. And by the way, we come from High Brazil from the year 8,100. Well, a lot of researchers, and I agree, they believe that all 7 coordinates, it's a clue to something. It's a message that's to be deciphered of all the 7 coordinates, all the 7 locations. And then, it's like saying, this is, this has to do with this and so forth. And then it ends with, and by the way, we come from High Brazil. So it just kind of boggles the mind. It
So
really, really.
do they think this is a message to themselves or to humans?
Well, that's one theory. Now, keep in mind, in ufology, there are several theories as to the origin of aliens. One is that they are from another planet. What Another is that they're interdimensional beings, and the other is that they're us from thousands of years in the future, and have developed the technology for time travel, interdimensional exploration. So it's us in the future coming back and say, hey, check this out. So who knows? I mean, people say, well, aliens have the almond shaped eyes and the big heads and the long spindly arms and so forth. That they're not human. Well, let me tell you something. Look at a human from, say, 300,000 years ago. They don't, they don't look like the way we do now, right?
Right.
Although I've had a couple of drinking buddies in the past that came pretty close to looking like that, but that's something else. I mean, but yeah, I mean, we evolved physically. And so what's to say that we don't evolve? I mean, come on, 8,000 years.
Their use of the English language in there and not using like an abstract language that we don't know.
Right, exactly. So so there is many theories, and this right here would be, it's them from 8,100. It could be us, or it could be aliens from another galaxy or another dimension that settled in high Brazil, or they come from there and they grew a society. Who knows? There's so many ways you can go with this. It really it makes you just shake your head and go, wow. So is this a hoax or isn't it? I mean, again, the MOD tried to shake this off as saying, well, it was a hoax. There was this other serviceman who was driving around with special lights on his car in the forest to try to fuck with the other guys. But I don't know. That sounds highly improbable.
Yeah, I
And
saw
then,
that they said no threat to national security, like basically like case closed.
right, exactly, which sounds a lot like what we're hearing today in current UFO news or UAP news through the government. They're like, we know they're there, but there's something there. Maybe there's not, but you know what? Bottom line is, it's okay. Go back and
What an underwhelming panel. Like nobody really said anything.
right. I mean, and then what I love, in the current situation of what's going on with ufology is they like to throw NASA in front of everything. A NASA official saying, "Oh, there's no evidence of this. It's not real. I mean, there's no aliens." Fucking NASA works for the government. It's part of the government. I mean, NASA was started as a private, industry or private company that was contracted by the, government. But it has since become part of the government, and it is government. But they use that as a shield to hide information. Remember, the Freedom of Information Act, it dictates that we have the right, after a certain amount of years, to ask the government, show us this, stuff that was once top secret, and you do have access to it.
Yeah.
But that only applies to government entities. You can't request a Freedom of Information Act for a document from NASA because they're private. So they say, right?
Hmm.
And then you have Bigelow Airspace. You have Elon Musk has SpaceX. So we have SpaceX and Bigelow Aerospace. These are private entities that have been contracted by the United States government to investigate certain things. Now, the government has went this so far as to say, yeah, we contracted them to investigate, right?
Hmm.
They investigated. What did they find? Nothing. How the fuck do we know? We can't even go to Bigelow Aerospace and get a Freedom of Information Act document from them because they're private industry. They are exempt. And let me tell you, Bigelow Aerospace, they were involved in Skywalker Ranch for a few years, and they found a lot of stuff there, but they're not releasing any of that information to the public. Bigelow himself has stated, point blank, they've asked him in interviews, do you believe that alien life and, this stuff is real? And he said, yes, I know for a fact, firsthand. Well, then tell us. He won't. Why? Because he's tied to the government. So, recently we've had a lot of potential release of information and some sort of disclosure. The thing with the drones back east and things like that. Disclosure is not going to happen until a giant mothercraft spaceship with ET hanging out on the on the deck, lands on the lawn.
E.T., send us Alf.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way it's going to happen. It lands on the White House lawn, and ET comes out giving us all the middle finger. Then we know it's real. Other than that, it's not going to happen. We're going to get soft disclosure, and that's what's going on right now. There is, and I coined it myself, soft disclosure, because full disclosure is inevitable. It's going to happen. The truth is going to explode out there. And the government knows this, and they're afraid that when that happens, the shit is going to hit the fan. So what they're doing right now is allowing soft disclosure. 2017, the revelation of ATIP, the acknowledgement of Area 51, those videos that were released of the Tic Tac and the gimbal and the Go Fast from 2017 from ATIP. The publication of those, they're saying, oh, they were leaked. They're allowing this to happen little by little. The situation right now that's going on, or was going on in, New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
And from what I understand, New Jersey is a strange place anyway. But you got this going on, and the government's like, we don't know what they are. We have no idea. That's not us. It's not them. We don't know. Are the aliens? We're not saying that. The kind of this ambiguity that we're getting from the government is kind of strange. So they're not going to give full disclosure, but they're giving a soft disclosure so that when the moment happens, when ET finally does land on the ground and hang, whatever, then they can go, yeah, you see, it was kind of a buildup to it. So it's not so much of a shock. And the government has plausible deniability to say, you know what? We didn't know that much about it. We know a little bit, just what we've told you.
Right.
Kind of like a soft landing. And that's, I think, where it's all going.
What a bizarre case. That does have a lot of evidence, though, in this one. I'm so on the fence on aliens. Like, I want to believe in them. I don't disbelieve in them. But it just seems like a lot of the things are very exaggerated that people say. Like, they
absolutely.
know this. Like, how do you know it? Oh, it just has to be that way. I'm like, okay.
Right.
Well, I'm
exactly.
not, But this one, it did have the credible witnesses. It had I don't know if you touched on that, the signed statements from witnesses. But on that,
Yeah.
a lot of them, it said that they were pre-written and the people just had to sign it to be like, shh, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it is one of those cases that will, I mean, there's cases of, and I've heard some really strange ones where it was a farmer where he saw an egg floating over his land, and he walks up there and a little alien comes out and asks for a cookie, and he gives him and they're sharing cookies. I'm like,
That just means he ate the cookies and he didn't want to get in trouble with his wife.
right, exactly. And you got some that say, oh yeah, I was abducted and I went to the palatial g- planet of this and this and that, and they taught me this and they taught me that, they gave me enlightenment, and
He was at Vegas for the weekend. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I've known drugs that can make you feel that way. And or they even have one with some kid who says he was part of the United States Space Force, that he was taken out into space and trained, and he went to combat against aliens, and then he was brought back, and when they sent him back, they brought him back to his original age. And I'm not going to call the kid a liar, but that's kind of tough to
It would be
swallow.
fun to put him in the ship and be like, all right, well, go ahead, do what you did.
Yeah, let's see what you can do, kid. Yeah, do that Rambo shit.
The Halt memo was very interesting, too. I don't know if you read that whole thing.
Which one?
The Halt memo.
Oh yeah, I read that whole thing. I mean, again, there you got a credible witness, a high-ranking military person. Um, yeah, how can you can't sit there and go, I don't know, I doubt this. I mean, it really does open up again, we have what's going on right now within Congress and the hearings and so forth, and we're getting witnesses that are not like Billy Bob Joe from Arkansas, right? I'm
Yep.
not saying anything about people from Arkansas. Keep listening to this show. I say something stupid, I offend. That's me, not her.
No, but it's somebody that would get a lot of flack for
Right.
saying, "Hey, I saw this." If they just said nothing, their life would be so much easier. They benefit nothing from it. These are just
hmm
military personnel at a time, like you said, that this wasn't accepted. You were like a crackpot if you said something like that at this time.
Right. Even what do you call it? Commercial pilots were discouraged from reporting UFOs. I mean, have you ever seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
I haven't. I'm gonna get yelled at. I know I haven't seen a lot of movies.
Oh my God! Well, you know what? We're gonna have to do it on the podcast, okay? Because
Definitely.
yeah, you have to see it. How dare you? Um,
I've seen Bridesmaids like 50 times and Step
oh my
Brothers.
well, but in Close Encounters, there is a scene in the beginning where a commercial aircraft comes across some sort of bright orb coming towards them and so forth. And the um, flight tower, they're like, well, do you want to report a UFO? And there's two planes that witnessed this, two pilots. And the first pilot is like, no, I don't think I will. And the other pilot is like, yeah, we're not going to do that either. Because that's what it was like back then. Because they were crackpots who get grounded. They would, stigma against them. And, they become persona non grata within the community of pilots. So it was tough. But again, now it is the time where pilots are openly reporting these things. And, this is happening. I still don't understand why people are not more in tune with what's going on. I mean, granted, what's going on in the White House right now, what's going on globally, what's going on with the Kardashians. Yeah, I understand. We could, hey, yeah, but it's definitely the Rendlesham Forest case is definitely one of my favorites. Of course, the core encounter in the forest is fascinating. It really is. But when you get to the part where the binary code is deciphered and gives you this cryptic message that it's almost, it kind of raises the hairs on the back of your neck.
Yeah, I wanted to look up when was binary code invented?
I think binary
Oh, that was way back.
back in the 70s or maybe even the 60s, I believe.
It said it was invented in 1689.
Oh, shit. Well, there you go. There you go. Aliens had enough time to learn it.
Yes.
I mean, again, like we stated earlier, it's on the same level as Roswell. What's kind of frustrating is that there's no official, there's a lack of like an in-depth investigation that's publicly released. No documents consistent. Nothing jives. There's nothing really there. It's like, yeah, move along, people, move along. Nothing here to see. Yeah, they saw something. Keep going. And yeah, and there's no releases of documents or anything. And the MOD, they're mum about it, except Nick Pope. Nick Pope is a very popular ufologist, and he was part of the MOD back in the 80s. And he has spoken about this case and his frustration with the lack of the MOD cooperating and trying to get to the bottom of it. I mean, what it all points down to is a cover up. That's all it is.
Yeah, because if they said it was like nothing happened at all, then I don't know why they didn't release the full audio of Holt. They only released the what was it, 17 or 18 minutes worth, and that's it.
Right, right.
In that audio, it was interesting too how he mentioned it looked like an eye blinking in the sky, like the way that the lights aligned.
Right.
Do you have any theories on that? I'm just so curious. Like, I don't understand what that even is.
Well, you know what? I think that could be the perception of what, of light. It's blinking and maybe, I mean, you got like an outer layer of lighting and an inner layer of lighting, and one blinks at a different rate or intensity of the other, and it gives you the impression of an eye blinking. So that could be it. I mean, there's the same thing to explain away a lot of, past, what do you call it, sightings. For example, I mean, again, he looking up this light. Oh, it's an eye blinking at me because that's the only thing his brain can connect with, right? Something he understands.
Yeah.
So you have a burning platter flying through the sky, or chariot that's burning through the sky. That an account from 2, 3, 4,000 years ago. Well, they didn't know of space vehicles or air vehicles. The only vehicle they knew were chariots. So that's the comparison or the association they can make. So they call it a chariot. So it kind of goes back to that. So in this case, with the eye blinking, I think it was just the lighting effect and how he perceived it.
Okay.
So that was my case of the day. And it was, again, one of my favorites, and I really enjoy it.
That's so interesting. I never heard about that. I also saw in 2005, they turned that area into a tourist attraction called the UFO Trail.
Oh, wow.
Where UFO enthusiasts can walk around. And there was actually a sculpture made by an artist that was based on the sketches by eyewitnesses of the account.
Oh, wow. That's pretty neat. I mean, I guess they figured, you know what, if Roswell, New Mexico can turn this into a tourist trap, why can't we?
Yeah. That was amazing. Thank you for giving me all this alien knowledge.
Well, thank you for having me on. And I love sharing this, whatever I know and dig into. I mean, aside from, film, I love film but, and I can go on for hours on film, but yeah, weird shit, paranormal, UFO, especially UFOs, because bottom line is, I do believe that the answer to the question of UFOs ties directly into our own genesis. Who we are, where we came from is all tied into the answer of UFOs.
I don't know enough to agree with you or not, but I hear you.
Yeah. I mean, I've researched stuff, I've read stuff, I've seen documentaries and different stuff, and yeah, a lot of it does kind of point to the direction of, they have the answer. I mean, keep in mind, we are a species of humans that were I don't know, about 200,000, 300,000 years old, right? As humans.
Mhm.
And how far back does our written or known history go? Maybe about 10,000, 15,000 years, right? Beyond that, what happened? We didn't just appear. Something happened before that. We were something else, or something happened, and we've lost our history. We are a species with amnesia. And I think, with that being said, the question of ufology, UFOs and UAPs and aliens and all that good stuff. Yeah. Once we get all those answers, we're going to go, oh, it all makes sense now. And that's who we are. We are, them, and they are us. That's what I believe.
And then we can go visit the island with the huge bunnies.
Boom. Yes. That's what I'm talking about.
That place is crazy. It said like Irish gods came from there, or star people, and all these different theories as to what that place was.
Yeah. When I was doing research on it, and I'm reading, I'm doing my research, and this was years ago, and I come across High Brazil, and then it ties into the Rendlesham thing. As I'm doing this, I'm like, wow, this is a whole subject on its own. I mean, this is a Outros at a Ghost episode in itself. It really is. It's so
It has so many
fascinating.
encounters too, and the fact that it's on so many maps.
Yeah, and that's where it gets kind of, even the Pee Wee Reese map, which is the famous one that shows the Antarctic with no snow and actual mountains and rivers and so forth. So
Mhm.
that's a mysterious map in itself, and the island is there as well.
That only comes out, what is it, once every 7 year? It emerges from its mist, but nobody can reach it. You can just see it.
Yeah,
That's
cool.
so cool.
Yeah, I dig it.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Joe. You're awesome.
Well, thank you so much for having me on again. Love working with you, and look forward to popping up here every now and then, and recording with you on the Film Joe podcast,
Yes.
where we get to trash some of your favorite movies.
Hey. Yeah, if you want to hear more of Joe and me over there, you can give him a listen and a follow. That would be fantastic on, listen to this, Amazon, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Deezer, Audible, Boomplay, or wherever you get your podcast fix.
Oh, yeah.
I'll throw his link tree below in the description to make it easier.
That was fantastic. Love it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, but thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for listening.
And thank you again.
If
Thank
you
so
need
much.
more
It's been a blast.
content or just
Take
want to
care.
help
Bye.
support the podcast, head on over to patreon.com and search Ouch, Was That a Ghost? If you need some snazzy merch, you can find it at crowdmade.com by searching Ouch, Was That a Ghost? If you have a story you'd like to share, you can email it to ouchwasthataghost@yahoo.com. You can also find us on Facebook and all the other social media platforms under Ouch, Was That a Ghost?
Help me.
All links can also be found on ouchwasthataghost.com.